Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. And we are back.
Oh my goodness, it's just me and you.
It's just us, which is a good thing.
And we are getting back to the topic that we skipped over last
Started
week.
2 weeks ago.
Yes. We are going to talk about rope play today.
Rope play and your future calling.
Oh, I'm so excited to start and to touch and to feel and to show y'all.
Yep, we are ready to get into it. So what is rope play? Rope play, also known as rope bondage, is using rope to restrict movement, to wrap, to suspend, or to restrain a person as part of BDSM activities.
Yes.
And
yes to all of that.
Yes. It derives from the Japanese bondage art form of
shibari.
Which is, so shibari is more of the symmetrical, artistic, beautiful.
It's placement more than purpose.
Yes.
So Americanized, it's purpose. We're doing it for a reason, while the Japanese, every single knot has meaning.
Yes.
The placement of it, and it's the whole process is an art form.
Which is also where shibari originated from, was from the Japanese many, many years ago, or so I read. I didn't read a whole lot into it, but it is derived from the Japanese.
Well, absolutely. The word shibari is a Japanese word.
Yes, which is probably why you picked up on it so well from your half heritage.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I have a genetic predisposition towards being good at it.
Yep.
That's my story. I'm sticking to it.
Well, it makes a great story is what it is.
So we're doing this episode because we want to discuss rope play. We want to kind of start from the surface and start working into learning.
Yes.
And we're brand new to this. We've done a couple of classes now, but that is
definitely not close to anywhere in as an expert.
Oh no, we're not even.
We are
into
in the scratching the surface of beginner. So take that as we say. We are talking about rope play. We're going to give you ideas about rope play. We're going to talk about safety. We're going to talk about different types of rope. We're going to talk about a lot about rope play.
Risk,
and everything to do with it. Make sure
that you do your own
research.
You
do your own classes, attend demonstrations to watch and to learn.
And you want to use that opportunity to go see different riggers,
yes,
to see different experiences, some that are performances, some that are 101 classes. One of the things we track down is, because of Kinktasia, we did the rope boot camp. We tracked down that link,
yes,
LNK, which is Louisville.
NK.com.
They have classes a couple times a month.
Yes, every month.
And this is a big thing, and it's beautiful, and I'm so excited to get into it.
Kind of briefly touch on, you said, watch numerous riggers, watch several different people, because just like being a Dom, each one of them has their own style. Each one of them has their own specialty. They may know how to do all of the knots and all the various things, but they normally focus on like one specialty that they really, really enjoy doing. And that's what they focus on. They may know how to do all the other, but it is good to experience different riggers and different people that tied with the rope.
Even in the class, one of the classes that we went to, he was a sadist, and it came across when he was doing his rope.
Yes.
He's like, well, you can put your bottom on Legos. I mean, he had all kinds of creative ways to turn rope from something beautiful and attractive and amazing to painful.
Yes. So it's all,
and he made us laugh the whole time he talked about it.
It's all in whatever style you're doing. But before we get to talking too much about rope, we need to go over safety.
So we are not medical professionals. These are just examples of things we think you need to watch for, or things we've read, things we've heard during the classes. So we are not medical professionals. We're just giving you an idea of some of the safety things to watch for.
Right. And just like rope play falls under bondage, bondage is not safe. It is not a safe activity, and the risk of injury is very, very real.
So we want you to be aware that you can do it safer, but it's never safe.
Right. You always have a risk with anything to do with bondage or rope play or BDSM in general. There is always that risk. So before beginning a session,
make sure you trust your partner.
You have to have trust in your partner. Communication. We talk about communication in just about every episode when it relates to a BDSM topic. And we cannot stress that enough. Communication has to be there. You have to have an open channel of communication between all parties involved.
Yes.
To make sure that everyone is safe and everyone is comfortable and trusting and anything.
Because it could go really wrong. If you don't trust your partner and I let you tie me up and we don't have open communication, I could be hurting and not say anything because I don't want to hurt your feelings.
And I could permanently damage your body, your nerves, muscle, anything.
And then the second part of that is safe words. We talk about safe words all the time.
Yes.
It is so important, and it is very hard for submissives to use their safe words, which is one of the reasons we use the stoplight, because yellow is not red. Yes. Red is stop immediately. Things are in yellow means let's take a look at it. I'm having an issue.
Pause what you're doing. We need to communicate about what's going on. We need to change a little something about what's going on and then continue.
Right.
Yellow is a pause point to communicate what's going on and why the yellow was called.
Except when I'm playing with Chris, then yellow is the end.
Yes.
Because I don't expect him to ever say red.
Right. Always important anytime you're playing with rope.
I have them up there.
And when you are tying someone with rope, is to have some type of scissors. Now, it is recommended trauma shears. And the reason trauma shears is recommended, it does not have a sharp point where you're able to puncture or cut the individual that you're using them on. Trauma shears are very cheap. You can buy them off Amazon for like 10 or 12 bucks. This is what EMS, doctors, nurses, this is what they carry. These will cut just about anything.
And they will cut skin if you come in the wrong direction.
If you come at an angle and pinch in between the blades, it will cut, but it does not have a sharp point on it. This is designed to cut clothes off of people in emergency situations. So these are the safest type scissors to have, but make sure you have these on hand.
In case you need to cut.
Accessible at all time.
And in case you need to cut off the rope.
Yep. Once you begin the session, you want to make sure and check in regularly with your partner to ensure they are comfortable and feeling safe. And the reason for this is if your partner is laying on the ground and you're tying and they start to feel a little tingle or feel something going numb or feel that, it's pushing in the wrong place, there's a little bit too much pressure, that's where that open line of communication, you want to check in with them. They may be scared to say this is happening. So by you saying,
and sometimes you don't realize it.
Right.
Like if something's going dead, you may not realize it until somebody touches you.
Right. And that's the second part of that. Not only talking, but it is good to brush up or touch the
You're
partner.
feeling the skin to check the temperature.
You're doing that, but also you're making sure your partner, the one that's being tied up, can feel it.
Right.
They may be going numb and not realize it, may not have got to the tingle stage yet, but you know, how are you feeling right here? And if they
Because,
say,
I mean, you're getting tied up, which means your body is being held in a position.
Yes.
So, of course, it's not always comfortable, but is it dangerous?
Right. So by touching, if they can't feel you touching, then you know they're going numb and something needs to be done. They need to be change positions or loosen the rope or any of that.
It was really cool with Snap Ginger when we did the rope boot camp. She did it in a way that made it a very intimate act. So she would get down very close to her bottom, put her mouth in the ear, and say, "How are you doing?" So it wasn't just looking at her and saying, "Are you okay? Okay. Are you okay?"
Yep.
It was a whole performance thing, and that's one of the things she's so good at. And we talked about that on the Kinktasia episode.
You can do it very sensually, very sexy, like while you're tying, like you said, you know, instead of just being up, towering over them, bend down, whisper in their ear. That's part of that reaction that submissives get a lot of times, is that the air coming from you and the whispering in your ear and all that. So you can make it very sensual and sexy.
And then one of the other things she did was when she brought her arm up to the wrists that are tied, squeeze my hand. That lets her know too that you're able to move and function still.
Right.
So that was one of the big things that you need to be able to communicate.
Exactly.
Both you are checking as a rigger, you're checking on your bottom, but your bottom also has to open their mouths if they notice anything weird.
Right. And along with rope play or shibari, there is a number of risks that come along with it.
Yes.
And one of the dangers of rope play is nerve injuries. Your body is full of nerves. Some are more exposed to the outer skin than others. And those are the ones that you really need to know their location and pay attention to. You definitely don't want to tie too tightly around a nerve or around a joint.
Avoid the joints as much
Avoid the
as
joints, yes. Bulky knots. While doing the rope play, you're going to be tying knots, and knots are what makes the shibari side of it so beautiful, is the knots that you tie in it. But you want to watch and avoid the bulky knots, because those can dig into the skin and actually penetrate part of the skin.
Yeah, you want to make sure that
pressure.
they're the right direction, that they're
Yes.
not into the skin, that they're up and away from the skin, not to cause problems and damage to the nerves.
Right. You want to be aware that hard surfaces can press knots into the nerves. If you're doing a body harness and you happen to lay your partner down and they might be laying on those knots, that is something to pay attention to and to keep check on and to monitor. And then, like you said, you know, where Snap Ginger was grabbing her partner's hands and squeezing, you want to monitor motor function of the extremities that are being tied up. And, you know, again, check in, squeeze my hands, wiggle your toes. Can you feel me touching your toes? Can you feel me touching your hands? That kind of stuff to make sure that they're not going numb or losing sensation.
We've noticed that rope takes a long time to do. So that means, especially when you're a beginner,
Yes.
I mean, even when you're advanced, but when you're a beginner, it's even longer, which means you are tied with parts of your body bound in ways that are not normal for a long period of time. And when you're new, it takes you that long to get the knots into place and you've got something in your head that you're thinking of, and you're just trying to get it onto a person's body. And at that point, you're kind of putting somebody in danger if you're not checking in a lot.
Which brings me to another safety point that I do remember. We don't have in our bullet points here, but it's good to have a snack, bottle of water, stuff like that later on for the extended periods of ties. You know, you're laying there, you might get thirsty or might get hungry or something. You just pop a cracker in your mouth or a sip of water or something.
Part of the food would be to keep blood sugar. I mean, you're tied for a while. When we're dealing with professionals, they can get it people that are experienced,
Yes.
they can get you in and out of it pretty quick.
Right.
Even getting out of it may take some time because once
Yes.
they've tied multiple knots throughout your body, but beginners, I'm at beginner stage. So everything I do, I have to watch because it takes longer.
Yep. And another concern for the risk is circulation. Anytime you wrap anything around any part of your body, you have potential of cutting off circulation, which is why it's always recommended, that there's got to be a certain looseness to the wraps. You need to have at least a finger that can slide in between so it's not too tight. As you grow, as you progress, and you get into the sadistic rope play, that is where you can apply a little more pressure and you can apply and leave those little marks and stuff. But you always have to monitor and you always have to be self-conscious about circulation in a body.
We have the same problem in BDSM impact play when you're restraining somebody up on the cross,
Yes.
not with rope, but with cuffs.
With cuffs.
You see it all the time.
Yep.
Almost anybody that has their arms above their head in cuffs, they'll start losing.
They will start losing circulation. Yep. So that, that's always something. BDSM in general, their circulation accounts for a lot of categories.
Falling. I can fall just walking down the street. And now you're going to tie me up with rope.
Yep. If your partner is standing and you start tying up, it don't take much. You pull one side too far, too tight, you could cause somebody to lose their balance. If you've already got their arms tied up, now they can't even try to stop themselves from hitting the ground.
Right.
So always be cautious and be careful, for somebody fall. Even if you're setting, you could be setting in the floor and I could tug on that rope just right and pull you right over. So there's always a potential of falling.
Absolutely. The rope burns and bruising. Now, the one that I mentioned was, hey, you're getting tied. We're going to tie you up. Oh, this is going to be so much fun. And then you get a rope burn on your wrist and you're going to work the next day. How are you going to explain that?
Curling iron.
On both wrists.
You're clumsy.
That's exactly it. I'm
Yep.
a clumsy. I'm a klutz. I have bruises and marks, so I can get away with it. But not everybody. I mean, it looks like you've been restrained when you have
Yes,
rope burns.
It does. And, rope burns, when you're tying someone, you have to be very cautious of how fast you pull that rope through. It's always good to use your free hand to kind of shield the rope from the individual that's being tied. Even when you get to the last foot, to the end of your rope, if you're pulling it from in between your arms and your chest, when those ends come up, they're going to fly up. You could hit somebody in the face. You could hit somebody in the eye. So you always want to try to pay attention with where your rope is when you're pulling it, the speed of you're pulling it, and try to keep from hitting somebody with it. These are all risk, life injuries that could happen. You've also got to think about, you could cause death.
Yes.
If you're not properly following the procedures and the precautions of tying someone. And when you think of death, you automatically think rope around the neck. Well, there's more ways to do that. You can actually restrict somebody's chest cavity from expanding enough to get enough oxygen in to where they would suffocate by lack of oxygen.
Let's not talk about any more scary stuff here.
I don't like talking about it, but I want to make sure people are aware. Rope play is fun. Rope play is sexy. Rope play can be an amazing time.
Well, then, yeah.
But you have to make sure
that
you watch out for your risk and you have to take precautions to prevent them.
Absolutely. Because like we said, rope tying people up is not safe. It's not safe.
No.
So why do we do it then? Tell me why. Tell me why.
I enjoy doing it. For one, because I can position you in any position that I want. I can tie you down however I want.
Mm-hmm.
But the other reason I really like it, that I want to learn it and want to know more about it and get into it, is for the artistic look of it. Making chest harnesses and leg wraps with all the different knots. It is absolutely sexy to see somebody walking around with a chest harness out of rope or with the leg wraps. Or think back a few years ago when I used paracord and found a way to make handcuffs out of this paracord that I could pull on the end.
And it didn't.
As hard as I wanted to, and it did not apply pressure to your wrist, to your hand.
And yet it looks so
it was
beautiful.
So beautiful
too.
The way it crisscrossed and laid across each other.
It only took like an hour, maybe.
And a few pauses on the YouTube video.
It was a lot because you have to do it over and over and over again to get good. But it looks cool.
It does.
It's sexy. You can make, like, the harnesses are almost like clothing that you're custom making.
Yes.
Without clothing.
Yep.
I mean, it's so beautiful. And that's part of what I want to do because I want to create masterpieces on the body. And once you learn the knots, you learn the basic knots, and then you learn more advanced knots. And now you're creating
your own
art.
Your own wardrobe.
Art.
Out of art. And then you also want to suspend people too. You want to do the suspension.
Oh my God, it's so sexy. I want to suspend other people, but I want to suspend myself at the same time. I want to do that kind of a performance because I think that it's amazing.
Right. Another reason why people enjoy it is, especially for the submissives that love giving up full control.
So I'm all on board with that. We know that I like giving up control, that I consider myself as submissive. But I will say that with rope, it's a little more difficult because you have to be able to keep your body in a certain position for a long period of time.
Yep.
And if I'm in control, I'm going to feel more comfortable with that than without.
Right.
Because one of the things we've been working on since the beginning is some past trauma that I don't like my legs pinned down. But with you, you've done this throughout our sexual experiences,
right,
and you've taken away some of that
right,
knee-jerk, I got to get you off me thing. But then sometimes I do have to tap out yellow.
Right.
So once I'm roped up, now
it could trigger something else from your past trauma. Absolutely. That is the reason for safe words.
Yes.
And that is the reason for trauma shears. If by chance, if I was restraining you and all of a sudden you got triggered,
like a panic attack,
it may take me 5 or 10 minutes to safely untie you
and
without hurting, without burning, which is why the shears are important. If your bottom or if your sub or if your rope bunny calls a safe word, red or whatever the magic safe word is for stop, and you can tell they're freaking out, that's where you grab your shears and you just start cutting and you get them out as fast as you can.
Yes. How do we start? What do we do?
Well,
how do we begin this?
There is several ways to start. Our pattern has been internet research.
Yes. Classes.
Of course, I hope most of you know everything on the internet is not true.
Not everything
which is why
true.
When I say research, you're looking at more than one article. You're reading 15, 20, 30 different articles and trying to find the similarities in all of them.
Well, in YouTube
to fully
videos.
Understand. You can do YouTube. Yeah, there's YouTube videos.
At least on the knots and how to actually tie them properly.
Yep. Another way is you can check out link. Again, you give the website, but we're going to give it www.louisvillenk.com. Go to their calendar. They have events. And again, they have multiple classes. They have multiple events. More than half of the month is some type of event that they host. And they have researched that, find the knot classes, find the rope classes, get into it there. You can go to BDSM conventions. There's usually a lot of rope play and shibari going on. Kinktasia.
Dungeons. We saw it in Dungeons. They have all the suspension.
Yes. All the rigging for suspension. Again, Kinktasia, all of their demonstrations on the main stage was all rope play where you could sit and watch. Again, you're not really going to learn a lot by watching somebody perform. But it gives you an idea of what it involves to get to that level.
Yes.
And then from there, a lot of them will teach you. There's side classes. There's the boot camp class that we took. So there's several classes locally that you should be able to find and take. Or again, research.
And then one of the things you definitely want to do is tie on yourself. See
Absolutely.
this? You want to do the ties on yourself because it shows you how tight, that it shouldn't restrict what you're doing. Like this one does not. This was the first knot we learned, which is a single column tie. And it does not collapse. It doesn't get tighter.
It doesn't get tight. You can grab the loose end of that rope with that column tie and you can drag around anybody you want, and it does not restrict them any more than where it was when you tied them. And you're telling our listeners to look at that, just so our listeners know. She has rope and she has self-tied herself around the leg. You know, we're not quite on TV yet, but
yeah, my listeners. I'm sorry. So I tied myself, and then we have a small video. We've started doing small videos.
Yeah, for social media. We're just pulling little clips here and there that we post around on social media, so that once you find our social medias, you can see us setting and doing our podcast, so you kind of get more of an idea.
We might start having them play on YouTube or something.
Yeah, we'll get there one day.
And we've got all my rope.
Yep, we got all your pretty.
I bought a lot of rope.
Yep.
All right. So the first knot that, just because we're talking about research, what we've done, the first knot was the single column tie.
Yep.
And then the second knot that we learned was the double column. It's a wrap and a cinch where you tie two objects together. And when I say objects, I mean like your arms or your legs. And Sir Dante Zora did her feet and flipped her over. Hog-tied her and using the double column.
Yep. When I done the demos for Swinger Society last weekend for the electric wand.
We're not talking about that.
But for the electric wand, I used the double column on Zora and Christina.
I was supposed to be the model.
You was. But I used the double column on them to hold them in place while
and that's when Ashley
wand.
Dragged them away with their little leash.
She dragged them away. All right. So what type of rope should we use for rope play? And I'm going to start off by saying, do not just go to Home Depot or Lowe's and buy all-purpose rope.
Not that we don't love Home Depot and Lowe's. We've done a million projects in our house, but it's not for
actual rope play. You can buy that to tie on yourself just to kind of get an understanding of it. However, the rope you buy there is stretchy. You could pull on it, it frays the ends real bad.
The insides have a different consistency. These are made, there are multiple companies that make them.
Yes.
I went with a local company.
Yes. So the materials most commonly used for rope play and shibari, the materials are hemp, jute, cotton, nylon. There is posh spun polyester. There's hand spun bamboo. There's wool.
I get to say for sadistic riggers, coconut rope. And we actually felt that at the sadistic rigger.
A piece.
I might have disappeared.
I'll call the guy back up and get another piece from it.
Well, I'm sure you can order it. Isn't that one of the cheapest ropes? I believe so. It's got all the
coconut rope is very scratchy.
Yes.
It's almost like taking a Brillo pad and pulling out the pieces real fine. And when you tie that around you, it is itchy, it is scratchy, and it is a sadistic rope.
I bought nylon, and the reason I went with the nylon is because of the way it looks and the way it feels. My intention is I am brand new. I am obviously not suspending anyone in the near future.
Right.
So what I wanted was something that looks good, that I can make harnesses and body art out of as I learn the knots.
Right. And you've got so many colors?
Well, I could not make up my mind, and I really love UV reactive because I want it to glow.
Right.
So I went with the grouping of UV rainbow.
And you've got the UV rainbow laid out here in front of us.
I went with the Dom Life green,
Yep.
the Dom Life black.
Absolutely.
But I did pick black because when I'm sitting at my desk at my office, I want to, in my breaks, tie rope because, you have to do it in order to
muscle memory.
Right. So I want to be able to play with it. So I'm like, okay, black works. So my other color that I picked was this UV reactive purple that has some pink in it. And it's awesome. I love the colors.
They are very nice.
So I chose to go with Knot Head Nylon Rope because they are a local Louisville company. Their website is www.knotheadnylon.net.
And they have a huge variety of rope available.
It is all nylon, but it is a huge, and they are custom made for this exact purpose.
Yep, they're custom made material-wise. They're custom made in lengths.
And they have kits.
Yep, the starter kits or UV kit like you just got.
I got a carry bag for the one kit that I got. And then the other kit that I got a pink shirt. It matches my hair, and they didn't even know it was me ordering it. It's not cheap. You can start with and see if you like doing it with the Home Depot rope.
Just don't tie nobody but yourself with that.
Right.
If you want to learn to start doing it and you're going to tie on yourself, by all means, use any type rope you want. Just be cautious of how tight you go with it.
And then the other thing I thought, there are less expensive options to the nylon because they said, I remember when we were doing that, she had sections of almost all of the different kinds available to be used and to touch.
Right.
This is Snap Ginger I'm talking about. And I know that there were some of them that were a lot cheaper. I'm just a little bit bougie when it comes to what I want against my
I
skin.
believe a little bit of that extra from Sir Dante and Zora's kind of rubbed off on us. We're becoming just a bit extra as well.
I don't know. I think we started with extra.
We may have.
All right.
Going back to the basics, again, this is barely brushing the surface of rope play.
You're basically joining us on our journey.
Yes.
We're learning. And we want to give you the information as we learn.
Yep. And we have reached out to a couple of people, one of them being Snap Ginger, and we are working very hard and very desperately to try to get her to come on so she can talk about her life story and how she became involved in rope and how many years. And she enjoys teaching. I know she does that a lot. Hopefully she can teach us even more when we get her on about rope, more than what we can share with you right now. However, all of our BDSM segments, we've only brushed the surface on all of them.
Yes, we've never gone deeper than the beginning. We've done a little bit of a deeper dive into the intro to domination because we've had a series of our friends on at different levels and varying abilities and lifestyles.
And we've got more to come.
That's coming up.
Yep. We'll have, we know at least three other interviews of dominant and submissives.
And then we want to do some additional interviews with people that are a section of BDSM, like Snap Ginger.
Yes.
Or there's a group of Spankos.
You met somebody in that group. And we want to get her on.
She has said that she would be interested. So as we move along, you're just going to follow us down the rabbit hole. Coming up next week on our episode, we are dropping part 1
of a intro into domination interview with Loki
And Christina.
And it was really great to sit down with them. They're probably one of the newest dominant submissive relationships that we know.
That just started within the year.
And it was really great to sit down and talk with them. And although they are very new at it, I've picked up a couple of things from Loki
that I may not like.
Stick around and keep following.
Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.